Do I? Okay, let me turn the mic. Is that better?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Sunday, episode 30 here. Can you believe it? 30 episodes already.
That's crazy, man. Like I didn't think it was gonna be like that. Means we're like more than halfway through a year's worth of doing this podcast. So no, but I'm excited. The 30's good.
I think we're almost probably coming up in a year, I think, since we decided to do this thing. So
Sweet.
but yeah, I mean, even missing a couple Sundays here and there. Still 30 is a pretty impressive number. So, pretty cool. And of course, we're just doing this for the enjoyment of real estate because that's how much we love real estate.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, as always, we love sharing our knowledge and everything that we've learned about our industry here with others. So, tonight's episode is going to be a really good one, actually. But before we get into that, I guess, how's everything going for you? How's the weekend?
Weekend was good. I was actually in Madison for a day and a half. And then came back up, and of course we had church picnic or church barbecue, outside barbecue today, so that turned out really good. But busy, man. It's been a busy couple of weeks since we got back from Nexa, or the Discover Nexa event. It's oh man, grinding, just getting stuff done, trying to make things happen. So it's been good. How have you been, man?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's been a slow weekend for me. Nice, relaxing weekend, actually. So it's good time to catch up and just stay home with the family.
Did you
But
grill?
like, yeah, I did grill this weekend. Yes, I did grill twice.
Nice.
I had time to do it. So,
Sweet.
Yep. So, my boys went to have a little sleepover with their cousins, left me home with my daughters, and so usually they grill for me. So I taught them how to grill. So, but
That's awesome.
now that they're not home, I got to do the work. So, but it's
All
good.
good.
Yep. All right. So cool. So let's get into today's episode. And so today's episode, I mean, it's going to be a really, it's a pretty common issue that we see a lot, or a common, not really an issue sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Question, I guess, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that, when we're helping people to buy a home, right? And, of course, there's a lot of checks that we go through, right? So it's like, hey, what's your credit score, right? And it's like, okay, we pull their credit. Okay, it's good. Check. You pass on to the next one, which is, oh, you have a job, right? Or your business is more than 2 years, right? Okay, cool. Check, right? And then other things we look at is, hey, how much money do you make, right? Whether it's your business or your own, your W-2, whatever. Okay, yep, your income's good. Check, right? And then we go through this whole process, and then we're like, okay, everything's good. How much house are you trying to buy? Right. And then it's like, okay, yeah, I'm trying to buy like 500,000, whatever, right? And then you're like, okay, then you have to explain, hey, depending on the loan program and whatever, here's the minimum down payment, right? And so we say, conventional is like what, 5%, sometimes 3%, right?
Yep. 3 to 5%. Yeah, that's pretty typical for first time home buyers.
And then so that's like we'll say 25K. Okay. So 25K, 5%. And then of course the other item is like, hey, closing costs, right? And that's kind of like one of the big wild factors. There's a lot of things that go into closing costs, like not just the title closing fees, but sometimes we have to collect for like property tax, right? We have to collect for
Hmm.
home
Hmm.
insurance, right? And property tax is a big variable. Depends where you live and how expensive it is in your county, right? Or the county
Absolutely.
you're choosing to move to, right? Um, and so we have to have these discussions with buyers that, hey, depending on where you want to move to, your closing costs could be very high, right? And so you have to have those saved up as well. Um, I mean, so for me personally, I just tell people like, hey, if just to be very safe, this is a super high conservative estimate, but basically you should have 10% of the purchase price, right? It's going to be really high, but if you want to be like peace of mind and like, yeah, I got the money in the bank, right? 10% of the purchase price. So that would be for 500,000, 50K, right?
Hmm.
Of course, I think more people are like, well, 6 to 8, something like that, 6 to 8%, right? What do you tell your people?
So usually, I ask them about the down payment, right? Depending on what kind of down payment they have, I say
Yeah.
you have to prepare for the down payment, but for closing costs here in the Twin Cities, prepare for about 4%, right? It is
Mhm,
conservative. 4% is conservative here in the Twin Cities,
mhm.
but I mean, it's pretty. It's starting to get close to realistic now, like because
Yeah.
insurance has gone up so significantly here due to the
Mhm.
hail damages and such, right? So um, it's
Right.
yeah, I always say your down payment plus 4%, right? So that's what you're going to be looking at.
Yeah, so that's like 9, right? What you just said. So
Yep, yep.
yeah. So yeah, I mean it can be a sticker shock, right? I mean, especially
Hmm.
if you consider how much homes are going for these days, right? Um, I Milwaukee, I used to think Milwaukee was a cheap market, but now our prices are kind of crazy. It's like, I used to think we were really affordable at between 100 and 200,000, but now in Milwaukee, I mean, you want a nice house, you're looking at 250 and up, like, and that's Milwaukee proper. If you're talking about suburbs, now you're starting at 400 pretty much,
Hmm. Hmm.
400K and up. It's not so cheap anymore, and those are old houses. That's old inventory. That's like 1960s, like
Yeah.
outdated with the 60s carpet. Like, no. Yeah, and if you want the brand new construction suburb stuff, you're talking like 600K now. It's ridiculous. It's Milwaukee's not cheap. eh, you know. I think we're
Yeah.
like catching up to you guys. I used to think you guys were expensive, but now I'm looking at like, dude, maybe I should like move to Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, here in the Twin Cities, like our average home in St. Paul is about 300,000. Our average homes in the Minneapolis area is about 400,000. But look, if you want to go into the suburbs, it's going to be way more expensive. Like Woodbury is going to be 700,000 plus. Maple Grove is going to be 700,000 plus, right? Most of the homes you're going to be looking at are not going to be your first time home buyer types homes, even if like what you were saying, in our so I live pretty close to Maple Grove, which is about, I would say about 15, 20 minutes outside of Minneapolis, right? Northwest of Minneapolis. And to buy, like you said, a home that needs renovating, right? That's like
Mhm.
450, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at
Right.
about 450,000. So, I mean, your prices are coming. Yeah, you guys are way closer to us than maybe like 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, but yeah, it's expensive. It's expensive
Mhm.
to buy. So you gotta get ready for that down payment and that amount. So
Yeah.
um, it's a big deal.
Right. Right. And so, that's kind of the purpose of today's podcast episode is that, while you do have a lot of those pre-approval checks in the box, right? You got them all checked off. The biggest hurdle that we're seeing right now is the funds, right? Like
Mhm, mhm.
like you know, and I've on the I've seen it before where a buyer gets the pre-approval, they go shopping, they get the accepted offer, right? We've been looking at houses, we get the accepted offer, and then they talk to the lender. At the time, I wasn't a lender yet, but they talk to the loan officer, and they're like, "Dude, the payment's too much. We can't afford this house. We gotta cancel the contract." It's like, really? Oh man,
That's
like you didn't.
interesting.
Yeah, I was like, you didn't have this conversation with the you know, like how much the payments were going to be and all that. I was like, wow, okay. Well, I mean, you know, I'll be respectful. Yes, we'll cancel it. You know, do what you want.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
but I told them that, you really got to be careful, right? You got to check the things that we talked about: property taxes, home insurance, because that can really add up to your mortgage, right? Because the mortgage piece, right? It's just the principal and interest, the P&I, which is relatively most of the mortgage payment every month. But then, of course, they add on they call it the escrow, right? The property
Mhm.
tax insurance, right?
Insurance, yeah.
So that usually catches people by surprise,
Mhm.
uh, and so you get the sticker shock. You're like, dang. So today's episode, we're going to talk about funding, right? Funding issues. Where can you find that money? And this scenario happens a lot because, I mean, if you look at where we are, right? Majority of the first-time home buyers out there today are probably in their 30s, maybe early 40s, even, right?
Mhm,
But
mhm.
they've been in the workforce for a while, right? Oh, hopefully they've been in the workforce for a while. And that would mean that they almost have like 10 to 20 years of work experience, right? So hopefully they have gone through some promotions, they've got through some job upgrades or something like that, right? They're
Mhm.
getting good earning jobs. They're to the point where they're ready to buy, right? But the thing is, obviously the wages have not been keeping up as much as the rate that home prices have been going up. And so that's kind of where the hurdle is, the gap, right? And
Mhm.
so, like, okay, well, if you aren't a good saver, right? Or you didn't really start saving until later, you don't have the funds, well, where are you gonna get the money, right? And so a lot of people in the workforce already, the 10, 20 years, I mean, if they were smart or lucky enough to sign up for their 401k, right? Their company's 401k, um, the 401k is kind of a no-brainer, right? A lot of employers will match whatever there's some kind of matching, right? Like 2%,
Yeah.
3%, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I don't back in the day when I used to be a W2 employee, I never really believed in a 401k, but if that was like, hey, they give me free money, okay, I guess I'll put some free money to get some free money, right? So that's how I thought of it. And even when I worked those 10 years as an engineer, I mean, I think I got up to like 50,000 or whatever, but I jumped jobs a couple times, so I had to restart a couple times. Um, but I mean, it's a good thing to do if your company offers it, right? Like, at least that's what I think. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, so I don't know. I don't believe in the 401k. That's because I'm an investor, right? And when you're a real estate investor, you think real estate investor is everything, right? So, um, my thoughts are is that okay, so I don't believe in it, but I still do it, right? So when I was working for the
Okay, but
corporate
you still did it.
offices,
You still did it.
yeah, for when I was working for the different corporate offices that I was working for, the different banks, they had like 6% match. So like in order to get your full match, you have to actually put in what they put in. And so yeah, of
Mhm.
course I put in the amount, and the only reason I don't believe in the 401k is like, look, I could die tomorrow, right? And I can't use the funds because they're stuck in this retirement account. Um and that's not something that I like. I'm not trying to save for retirement. I'm just trying to make ends meet. And
Mhm.
when I'm young, right? Well, eventually, like it turned to where, now I learned how to invest, and my returns are better than the stock market in the 401k. So I just I just can't agree with putting my money in 401k. Now,
Yeah.
I believe that it is great for the average person, for someone who doesn't want to think about investing, for someone who just like they love what they do and they want to plan for retirement. Great, right? Great system, great for the common person who just wants to work really hard, and then when it's retirement time, you come and you retire. But it's not for someone like me. So that's my thoughts on it. Now, in the past, right? I've actually used my 401k to buy an investment property. So I think that, it's
Mhm.
I don't know. I think that from my perspective, it's a good idea, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you gotta measure what it is that you want to do.
Right. Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, So yeah, I mean, most people, I believe, like they would do it just because it's there. Right? And I think I actually had my last job, the last job I had before I jumped ship to being a self-employed, going from working a 9 to 5 to 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. now, right? That's what we do now. We're self-employed. Uh, you think you're working less, but not really. But
No.
anyway, different topic for another day. But I think my last place, they actually gave me 2% for free, like whether I contribute or not. So I was like,
Oh,
oof.
nice.
I was like, all right, cool, sign me up.
Right, right.
I didn't stay there that long. I only stayed there 2 years, so it was like $5,000 or whatever. But still,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I still should roll it somewhere else. But anyway,
You still have it?
I still have it. It's
That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
still have. I think I have like 4 different 4Ks actually. But I figure out what
I've
to do with
rolled
it.
all mine into IRA, right?
Oh,
Investments.
I should probably do that. All right. But the question is, I guess, and you mentioned something too. You mentioned IRA. So IRA is a little bit different than a 401k. So IRA is an individual retirement account, right? And it's not like employee funded, right? So you fund it yourself, right? And so it's interesting. In preparing for the show, I didn't really know, but the IRA allows you to take out $10,000 penalty free to buy a house, right? And so that's an IRA, but it's only 10 grand. 10 grand, pretty significant, I guess, right? But I mean, in the scale of things, if you're trying to buy a $500,000 house, I mean, 10 grand's like, not going to take you, not going to get to the 50,000 down payment that you need. But small little chunk. But I guess that's also something that the politicians, the Realtor Association of America, right? They're trying to get some changes going to get that amount bumped up. That hey, this 10% rule made sense back when homes were $100,000 each, right? But not today, right? Not when they're going for 500,000, 600,000, and a million or whatever, depending on market. 10,000 doesn't get you very much. So that's something interesting to watch too, if you do have an IRA, right? And that I would imagine that includes a SDIRA, self-directed, which is for solo or self-employed people. But then the one that we're going to talk about mostly for today, though, is the 401k, right? So the employee match ones. And those have depending on how long, like we said, how long you've been in your job, you could have over 100,000, right? It's just sitting there, right? So the question becomes, hey, I need money down payment to buy my house. I have a good job now. I have good credit. I have everything except for the down payment, right? That's the only thing stopping me, right? The question becomes, should I just keep saving my money up until I get enough, whatever enough means, right? Or should I just borrow the money from my 401k and use that towards my down payment? And so with a 401k, they do allow you to borrow money for the purpose of buying a home. It's basically you're taking a loan against your own account, right? And then you are paying yourself back. Check with your provider though. There are certain rules. I think most of them are you can only take a max of $50,000 or 50% of your balance, the lesser of whatever that number is. Okay. So definitely do your research, talk to your 401k person at your company, right? But again, the question becomes, hey, should I keep saving, or should I just take the money now and buy the house now, right? So what's your thoughts on that, Johnny?
Well, so my thoughts is that, look, it depends on your 401k, right? So I know some folks that have 401ks where when they draw a loan out against their 401k and they pay it back, they're really just paying themselves back, right? And so in those kind of situations, like there's some companies out there that the interest that you pay back is actually yours as well, right? So it depends on your 401k. My thoughts is that if that's the case where you can borrow the money, it can still sit in the account, it still earns you money, right? While being in your 401k, and then you can draw the money as a loan, pay the loan, and pay yourself back while the amount that you owe is still in there earning money. I think that that's a no-brainer. Like you probably want to do that, assuming you can afford that monthly payment, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, in my research, I think the amount that you take out, it would be gone from the 401k balance. So it's not going to accumulate. It is going to be taken out of your account. Um, so you will
That's
have
why I said
less. Okay.
it depends on your employer, because some employers still allow you to, like, the amount is still in there, and even though it's a loan out to yourself, the
Mhm.
growth is still on the total balance, and so, like, each 401k is gonna be different, right? And so you gotta
Right.
really check it. Now,
Yeah.
if, so, like, to be honest, right? So when I took out my 401k for my investment property, because I wasn't purchasing a primary home, right? I took a
Yeah.
full hit on it, right?
Mm.
Actually, we cashed out both mine and my wife's, and we cashed out the house, right?
Wow.
Now, I wouldn't recommend doing that now that I know what I'm doing. But, um, but I'm glad I did, right? Because that brought me into the real estate investment,
Yeah.
world, where I learned so much more, like, so a
Yeah.
significant amount more, and, that
Right.
money has then, brought back money over and over again, and,
Sure.
I don't think that we would have the same amount if we just left it in the 401k and it just sat, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. And so I guess what's the other argument on saving money? What do you think about that? Like, hey, I'm not going to take from my 401k today. Let me just keep saving. What's your thoughts on that? What does that outlook look?
So I think that if you can save fast enough, right? Like, look, your lifestyle matters, right? So
Mhm.
what I mean by that is that, look, if you just had 5 kids and you live in a one bedroom house, right?
Yes.
I think it is worth peace of mind for you to go ahead and draw that money to go and do the transaction. However, if you're already in like a 4 bedroom house, and let's say you have the 5 kids and you guys can, work it out, then saving money for the next house isn't a bad idea. It's just that the question is, how fast can you accumulate your savings, right?
Mm.
And how soon do you want to make a change? Sometimes you're not lucky enough to have the decision. Like, say for example, you just lost your job because of a layoff and you're accepting a new job in a different city. Like, you're going from like Milwaukee to the Minneapolis area. You don't have a choice, right? And so in those kind of cases, it's going to be really tough. So do you want to stay in an apartment for maybe 1 or 2 years while you save up money? I think if the numbers work, then yes, go ahead and do that. But oftentimes the rent is almost as expensive as a mortgage. So if that
Mhm.
if that's the case, I say go ahead and just buy, and then you'll figure out your savings after that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. I mean, especially if you can't afford to buy today, right? You could afford to pay the monthly payments of a mortgage. But
Mhm.
instead of doing that right now, you're paying as much or almost as much as a mortgage in rent that you're not
Mhm.
going to get any equity for,
Yeah.
that, you're not going to get any value out of that. Right. And like you said, if you're stuffed into a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom apartment, and you got lots of kids, oh, that's not going to be fun. Right.
Yeah, I mean, back in the days, there was this book written called The Automatic Millionaire, right?
Okay.
And it basically just talked about how people in the United States can buy a house, right?
Hmm.
And as long as they pay for their house over the years, it'll accumulate in value. And there's a
Hmm.
possibility you'll be a millionaire, right? Just by paying your house, right? And so, like,
Right.
from my perspective, that is a forced savings, right? And
Mm.
it's easier for me to force myself to save than it is for me to try to save it, because and when that new next thing come out, that new iPhone or whatever it is that comes out, now I want to jump on that if I have my savings sitting there, right? So
Yeah.
that's my
Well,
opinion on that.
yeah. I mean, the other thing that I would see, if you are saving, like you said, is how quickly can you save that up, right? Like if you're trying to
Mhm.
save 50K and you make 50K, yeah, right? How quickly can you save that, right?
10 years. Like, yeah.
Right. And or even 100K. I mean, if you make 100K and you're trying to save 50K, I mean, uh, it might take you two to 4 years, and in 2 to 4 years, the price of real estate is going to go even up higher,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
And
there's
then that
that
means
too.
there's the moving target, right? Your down
Mhm.
payment is going to be bigger. The rates could be more, right? Could be less, hopefully, right? But we never know. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I mean, that's the issue, right? That's the issue that you face. And so, I kind of have to agree with you that, hey, if you've got everything else and you're ready to buy a home except for the funding, and you got this giant nest of a 401k sitting there, my personal opinion, I would borrow that money, and I actually have done it before too. So I borrowed against my
Nice.
401k to buy my house that I live in right now, and yeah, it was the best decision ever. I mean, actually, I didn't need to. Well, I put down 20% of this house, which I didn't need to do probably, but
You
I
saved
did
the
it.
MI, the mortgage insurance.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Yeah, but whatever. Like you said, though, I have no regrets. Whatever. Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of the biggest debates. I mean, that we would have. And then you already talked about the growth potential, right? Depends on what you do with it, right? And I think we were looking at some articles earlier that they kind of picked the last 10 years, right? If you would have done
Mhm.
this in the last 10 years, from 2016 to 2026, the growth return, the rate of return on $50,000, right? Like the value of a house in your own market, if you're listening to us wherever you are, if you would have bought a house in 2016 with like the 50,000 or whatever, what's a house that you want to buy today worth in your market? Probably double, right? In Milwaukee, it's
Mhm.
double, right? You're going
Mhm.
from 150 to 300 probably. So you already gained $150,000 back on that 50,000. Whereas if you would have kept in the stock market, it isn't doing that type of return, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
so yeah, I mean that alone is pretty powerful. But I think at the end of the day, if this is a legitimate question that, if you have a spouse, you got to sit down, you got to talk about it, see what's the right decision for your lifestyle, for your finances, and you got to decide. But yeah, any other thoughts, takeaways that you want to
Yeah,
leave?
I mean, let's jump into the numbers, right? Let's jump into the numbers. Like,
Sure.
I think we were looking at the Milwaukee area, right?
Mhm.
And homeowners built about $250,000 on average in home equity in the last 10 years
Mhm.
versus someone that if they had invested 50,000 into the stock market only earned up to, like, I guess the increase in value would be about 80,000, approximately 80,000, right? And so when you look at the two, right, when you look and you compare the two, that's a gap of about $170,000. Like, that's
Mhm.
the difference, right? Now, I wanna say that, the last 10 years haven't been a normal real estate, I mean, I don't know what you can consider normal or not normal, but it doesn't move with the trend of the last 30 years, right? So there has been a significant increase over the last 10 years. However, like, I don't see that number coming down. In fact, I think I only see homes getting more expensive as we continue to go. So,
Mhm.
your equity is going to build much faster these days. And like, the reason why I do real estate instead of stocks, right, or 401k is because um the honest truth is that there is a scarcity, right? The factor, meaning there's a supply and demand factor. Um in the stock market, you can't 100%, the average person can't trace when the market's going to shift, right? But in the real estate industry, the trend always goes up and the shift aren't always as dramatic, and people will always need a place to stay. Like, as long as we are not virtual, meaning like we're not living inside of a computer, we will be able to like determine that if there's a group of people that wants to buy in a certain location, has a certain amount of job, the economy there is good, um, that the values will remain stable or increase over time. And so history shows that home values continue to increase even when stocks don't, right? So that's one of the major reasons why I think, for me, if I needed a house, I would draw on the 401k and like almost like guarantee that I'll always do it every single time. Right now,
Mhm.
how I do it and go about it would be different based on different knowledges and understanding. But if you were to compare the two, I would take the funds out.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, yeah, and so some interesting stuff, right? Like you said, with COVID, I mean, definitely spiked prices and all that in homes.
Mhm.
Um, Something interesting though, during COVID, they actually waived penalties on 401ks, right? And
Mhm,
so
mhm.
I wish I would have been paying attention because I would probably cash my out too.
Yeah,
But
perfect
yeah,
opportunity, right?
I know there was people doing that left and right, and then they were like going and buying like in vacation rentals and all.
Yeah, we're a little slow on that, so didn't make it in time.
Missed that boat. But hey, it's okay. But yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with what you said earlier too. Is that my thoughts on 401k has always been, you know what, like it's nice to have. You're saving for the future. It's a great idea, but like you said earlier in the video, like you don't know what's if tomorrow's promised. Like
Mhm,
you know,
mhm.
like you're working, you're putting all this money away. Like, what if you don't even hit 65 or whatever the age is where you can pull out the money?
I think
You
it's like
know,
68 for us, dude. Like,
I don't know what the age is, but you know, it's like it's crazy. It's like I think the average lifespan right now is 76, right?
mhm,
Average. Women are luckier, they're 79. Men are 73. So
yeah,
uh, you work until you're like 69 and you retire for I don't know, what is that? 4 more years?
yeah. Let
If you're
let's
a
say
guy?
10 max. Let's say 10 max, you know? Like
Yeah,
10 max years of using your 401k.
yeah.
Look, I also look at it like this, right? I think that it's really, really important that, you know, you have some kind of savings when you reach retirement age because, you know, health begins to diminish, you know, after you retire, right? So I
Mhm.
think that it's important for you to have enough to cover for some of your healthcare costs. But what I'm gonna say is that when I'm healthier, I want to enjoy life a little bit more, right? I don't wanna wait until, like, I'm spending all my money and I'm in the hospital bed. Like, that's a horrible way to live. I rather have my money today so that I can do the things I need to do to be able to enjoy the life that I have, right?
Mhm.
And you know, it comes back to that, you know, tomorrow's not always guaranteed.
Right, right. Yep, and that's exactly why I took my money on my 401k. Yeah. But yeah, we got a lot of time left to show here. So I guess what other options should people be looking at in terms of funding for their down payment, for their closing costs, besides a 401k, besides their bank account, right? What other things have you seen in your experience that people access?
Oh, yeah, you know what? Recently, what I've been seeing is Pokemon cards. People are selling their Pokemon cards to buy houses. It's insane. Like
You have a client that sold their Pokemon cards?
I do not, but there's been a couple of realtors that's come to me and they're like, "Hey Johnny, like, hey, so my client's got like, you know, $50,000 worth of Pokemon cards. Can we use that?" And I was like, "Okay, so as long as we can trace the documentation, right? Then we would be able to use it." And what that means is that if you took the cards and you took it
Mhm.
to a shop and there's a receipt that shows the value of your card and you selling that card, right? Like you have a receipt of having the card, right? Or some kind of photo that you've had the card, you traded it in, you got the money, the receipt shows that, you know, you got paid out and you deposit into the bank. I'm sure we can figure out a way to make it work. But the honest truth is that it's gonna be difficult, right? So, that's yeah, that's the latest news, like, I think maybe about 10 years ago, it was Bitcoin. Could we sell our Bitcoin?
Right.
And yeah,
Yeah.
but
Crypto.
now it's like yeah, right now
Yeah.
it's trading cards. Like, could I sell my
No.
magic cards?
Hey, yeah, I mean, what astonishes me the most about that is like there's people who are gonna pay you 50,000, $300,000 for a Pokemon card. Like, dude,
Mhm.
why are you still holding that? Go sell it already. You know?
Well, I don't know, the industry is like I've seen my nephew, so I know that people get paid for it because I've seen my nephew go into the store,
Okay.
buy a couple of packs, open it
Mhm.
right in the store, and get cash and leave. Like,
Okay.
because
It's like
they get
gambling.
good cards.
It's like casino, dude. Oh, it's like modern
Yeah.
day casino. Okay.
So you know, like my thoughts are is that um we can probably make certain things work, but don't stretch it too far. If you're selling a $6 million Pokemon card, I don't know if I can help you, right? So that's gonna be a tough one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Besides Pokemon cards, I mean, I guess it's like it's kind of like art, right? I mean,
Mhm,
wealthy individuals have art, right, that they can sell,
mhm,
right?
mhm. Get
So,
praisers.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, of course, if you're wealthy enough and you have a car collection, something valuable, you can always liquidate those things. What about stocks? People who own stocks, can they borrow against their stock? Can they sell their stock?
So most of the times people liquidate their stocks, right?
Hmm,
Now, um borrowing against your stocks become a little, because it's a loan, right? So
yeah.
now the question is, can you pay that loan back? Can you
Mm,
qualify? You're looking at a bunch of different other qualification aspects to it. So I think it's going to depend. It's going to depend on where the funds are and whether that institution allows borrowing on the stocks, or are you going somewhere else and getting the loan. And so I think it brings complications, right? So liquidating the stocks is easier than trying to get a loan against the stocks to buy real estate. Not saying it can't be done, just saying that it's difficult, right?
sure, sure.
Um, and
Because that does
then
add the DTI, like you said.
mhm, mhm,
Okay. Kind of
yeah,
similar to if you already own a home and you're gonna do a HELOC, right?
correct. Very, very similar to that. And some like I've done that too. I've taken out HELOCs on homes to go and do rehabs and then pay it back when I sell it. Or if I decide to keep it, then now we're refinancing out of the HELOC, right, and making it a fixed loan.
Right.
So there's a bunch of different strategies on that. So my the most common thing for first time home buyers, right? The most common
Yeah.
thing
First
is
time.
to finance it, right? And
Mhm.
and what I mean by that is to go ahead and find out what the lenders allow you to cover for seller paid closing costs, and then have the sellers actually pay for your closing costs, right?
Mm,
And so usually in those kind of situations, we have to renegotiate the price,
yep.
but if you renegotiate the price is going to be higher. So when you're buying the house, it's going to be more expensive, but then the sellers will be willing to pay the closing costs. And when the sellers pay the closing costs, then you don't have to come in with the closing costs. Now, when like most of the times, if you're using a conventional deal, right, you're maxed out at like 3%. And so
Yeah.
if I'm saying 4%, right, for your closing costs. So
Mhm.
expect to have that 1%, right? So you're going to be looking at like a 6% if it's a conventional with 5% down, plus the 1% in closing costs, plus they're, renegotiating the price, and then the seller's paying for closing costs. You're looking at, at least 4 to 6% down. And so if that'll help with the process, but it may not always solve everything, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to do seller covered closing costs, the
mhm,
biggest piece, you have to find the right seller that's willing to work with you, right?
yeah.
Um, and if you're trying to go
The-
after brand new listings, good luck.
nah.
They're not going to be cheap. So,
Yeah, you're
um,
gonna have to go for the ones that are like 30 days on the market.
yeah, right. So, um, and then of course, other things, other places you have, I guess, if you are a life insurance person, right? If you have
Mhm.
a certain kind of policy, I believe there you can access, what is it? What do they call it? Cash value,
Yeah, cash value.
right?
But there's like oftentimes there's also penalties on that, right? So you gotta, talk to your life insurance
Yeah,
company,
right.
make sure you
Yep.
understand the penalties of withdrawing it. I actually had clients recently that bought with their life insurance policy. They closed two down and they got, their cash benefit back, and they used it to buy a house. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, um, yeah, I mean, I think that's
Gifts. There's also gifts,
gifts.
right?
You're right, right. I guess we should talk about gifts. I mean,
Mhm.
gifts. What do people need to know and not do?
So most of the times the gifts has to come from a relative, right? In most
Yep.
cases. When you're doing a gift, let's say for example, if you're doing a 5% gift, right? If you're going conventional, uh the person who is actually coming in to do the transaction still has to come in with 5%, right? So if your gift person only gives 5%, the borrower also have to give 5%, and so you're looking like at a 10% down payment, right? FHA is a little different on that. FHA allows you to just get the gift and then you're good to go.
Mm,
But it depends on the circumstance, right? So
okay.
if you give 20% or more, right? So the loan to value is over, or I should say under 80%, then the gift by itself is fine, right?
Mm,
So those are some underwriting guidelines out there for conventional and FHA, right?
right.
Um, but I think gifts are important. Like okay, so there's two ways that I suggest my clients do gifts, right? One is the letter and the receive the funds at closing.
Hmm.
The other one is a letter and a canceled check. I
Mm.
don't want to play with anything other than those two options because it becomes a mess in underwriting, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So don't take your gift in cash. Don't tell them take it out. Give it to you in cash
Yeah.
and go deposit it in your account in cash. Okay. That's
Nope.
gonna cause
Not
us
gonna
a
work.
lot of problems for us as your loan officers. Okay. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and just trying to think. So, I mean, of course, there's the DPA, right? Down payment assistance grants.
Mhm.
Um, can you talk about that a little bit? How does that work?
So down payment assistance is a little bit like they're out there and people can use them, but they have a lot of regulations around them, right? So a lot of times you have to be under a certain income threshold. Like you can't
Mhm.
make more than 60,000 a year, or you can't make more than 100,000 a year, whatever the guideline is for that specific down payment. And then there's also like, different types of down payment assistance. You got your grants, you got your payment or loans with payment, and then you got your loans that don't have any payments but must be paid in full when the house sells or refinanced, right?
Mm,
And so there's a lot of guidelines around that stuff. I think that if you can get them, like it's awesome to be able to use other people's money to finance your house. But then my thoughts are is that they're just hard to qualify for, right?
correct. Yeah. 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 So, I mean, from what I've seen, some of them are location dependent, right? So, like if, like, Milwaukee, there's a city Milwaukee grant, but you have to buy in city Milwaukee, right?
Hmm.
And then if you want the even higher grant, you have to buy in specific zip code or specific neighborhood, which
Yep.
is, which you may not want to be in, right? So, um, not saying anything bad or anything, but just saying. Um, but yeah, I mean, and then there's like certain county ones too, right? Like, so if you want
Hmm.
to be in this county, there's a grant for that, right? But like you said, the biggest important thing is household income, and a lot of them go by household income. So even if
Hmm.
you're the only person on the loan, right, but your spouse works too, well, they're gonna look at the total household income. So they're gonna look at your income plus your
Hmm.
spouse's income, and if you exceed the threshold based on the number of people in your house, you don't qualify, right? Um, so
Hmm.
those are the challenges that you're going to have. There are other programs, and like I don't know if Minnesota has it, but in Wisconsin we have WIDA, Wisconsin Housing Economic Development Authority, right? And they have this WIDA
Okay.
second, right, where it's like basically a second loan, a piggyback for your down payment, right? So basically, they can fund
Hmm.
pretty much 100% of your house. So they'll fund the first 95%, then they'll kick in the other five too, or whatever. Um, but of course, you do have to pay it back slowly, I believe too. It's not like a free money, right? You do pay it back slowly, but they are funding it for you, so it's another loan. Um, so those options are out there, but I think that's I'm not sure if it's conventional or if it's FHA, um, but I'll have to take a look. But we do have that.
Yeah, so in Minnesota, we have Minnesota Housing, right? And so Minnesota Housing provides what they call a startup or a step up second, right? Second mortgage
Hmm.
that they attach to the house, right? And so depending on where you qualify, you may have deferred payments or you may have to make payments. And most people have to make payments, and most people uh, like are put on a 10-year term for that specific loan. And the loan's rate is whatever the going rate is for that specific program, right? Meaning like what I've seen in the past is the rate's been higher, right, than the average rate. And so not only is your conventional loan or FHA loan higher in interest rate, but so is your down payment assistance loan is higher than interest rate. So like I think about 8 months ago, I had a client that came in, they qualified for it and everything, and they're like, wait, so my interest rate is going to be 6.5 now. Take it, the rates have gone up since, right? So they're like, my interest rate is going to be 6.5 with the down payment assistance, and it's only going to be 5.99 without it. And I was like, yes, that is correct. And they're like, okay, it's only 3%. We're just gonna go ahead and pay it ourselves, right? And so they found a way to,
right. If you
yeah,
have the money, right,
yeah,
which they did, right, and I think that is a really good point too, that a lot of people should be aware of that while these programs do exist, DPA, down payment assistance, and these second loans and all this stuff, some of them do have a cost associated with it, right? Where it could be, hey, you're going to get a slightly higher rate on your interest rate on your loan because we're going to give you this money, right? And that's all part of how it works, right? And you have to be aware that, hey, what strings are attached here, right? And you have to evaluate, hey, is it worth it for me, right? Do I want to get into my house today, or do I want to keep saving to 5 years, 10 years later, right? Like we were talking about earlier. And honestly, like, just like we were talking with the why throw away money if you can afford, the biggest question is if you could afford to make the mortgage payment, right? Even with a higher interest rate, to get into the house, to live the life that you want for your family, right? Instead of 1-2 bedroom apartment living by walls, right? Get a house, get it in the school district that your family wants to be in. Have a real house for your kids to actually live, right? And have a stable childhood. Why not do that today, right? Especially if you can afford that payment, right? Like, honestly, if it was like a 0.5% higher interest rate, 1% higher interest rate, but I knew that I could still afford the payments, I would do it to get that house today, to leverage that equity, to start being a homeowner, to have the American dream now, versus waiting for me to save up, and the prices of homes are going to go up, and I don't even know whether I can buy, in the future, right? That's how I look at it. There are some people who really talk bad about down payment assistance and say it's a trap, right? They're going to jack your interest rate up, blah, blah, blah. It's all true, but you got to weigh what's more important to you, right? And those programs are there to help you to get into the home today versus maybe later, right? So that's what I think. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So so this is my personal take, right? Home values always increase, right? So if you want to get in, sometimes it takes what it takes, right? And so me, because when I was young, they had 100% loan to value loans, right? um I did that. We had the seller pay for closing costs. I came out of pocket with maybe $50 or something, bought my first house, built a ton of equity in the house over time that I was able to then draw on to do investments and business. And I can definitely say that if it wasn't for that program, I would have never been able to get into the house. Or I shouldn't say never. It would have taken me at least another decade to get into another a house, because my cost of rent was going to be as high as the home because I had a big family, right? Like being of a traditional family where my parents always want to live with me, I can't just rent an apartment, right? I have to rent the whole house, and the price is going to be about the same. So, I think that like if it was just you by yourself, you're a single person, you can rent an apartment for $800 a month, and let's say, for example, a 2 bedroom for $800 a month, and you can get the other person to pay $600 a month, and you can house hack an apartment. I think that that's fine. You can do that, but I wasn't in that situation. I had to take care of my parents. I had to take care of my wife. I had one kid when I bought my house. I was also 21 at the time. I didn't have the funds, dude. Like when like when I was 21, I had no funds. But dude, I think that buying that first house changed my life. So would I do it all over again? Get 100% financing?
Mhm.
Absolutely, all day long. I would do it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of what I how I look at it too. Is that hey, if you can accomplish your dream of opening a home, it's really going to give you, it's going to pay back itself, right?
Mhm, mhm,
In the long term, and in the short term, you can get a better job, get promotion,
mhm,
hopefully improve your credit, and then refi to a conventional loan or get out of that,
mhm,
that temporary thing that you have. So it's not a bad thing, even if the interest rate is a little bit higher, but just to get you in the door, right? And that's the biggest thing, to get you into the door so you own that door. And then after that, you can refi or you can sell it later when the equity goes up versus continuing to rent and potentially blank, hey, by the way, next year your rent's going up,
mhm,
or we're
mhm.
not fixing anything either. Right. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
So, yeah.
I like to add, the like a lot of people are thrown off by the interest rate, right? Meaning like
Mhm,
thinking that the interest rate is high right now and they're gonna wait until the interest rate comes down. Dude, just get in the house. It's about the monthly payment. It
mhm,
might be, $100 extra, $200 extra, but if you can afford it and you can jump into the house, get in. When the interest rates go down, you can always refinance. Now, like if you don't qualify, you don't qualify, right?
yeah.
But my thoughts are is that look, you can always upgrade too, right? You buy a house. Like a lot of people think they but like look, when I was a kid and I bought a house, I'm like, man, I think I'm gonna live in that house forever, which I have so far, right? But most people don't live in their house more than somewhere between 5 to 10 years, and so they're
Yeah.
usually upgrading or downgrading or doing something because life changes, right? They could be moving to a
Correct.
different city. So like, yes, plan for the long term, but don't be so set. Like, you can upgrade, you can downgrade if necessary, right? So my thoughts are is
Hmm.
like, get in, get whatever it is that you need to care for your family, and then if things change, you can always make a change later.
Yep, for sure. I agree. Yeah. So if you have any comments, anything else you want to add, any questions, feel free to drop in the chat. We got a couple of shout outs here in the chat from our longtime support, Two Fang. What's up, Two? And got one from Andy. Andy out in Colorado, coming out there next month. So we'll hang out with Andy in Denver. All right. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for this episode. Hopefully, it was valuable. Hopefully, you guys got some important insight out of it. Rates are changing, market is changing. So, I think next month, right? I think next week is already August. So, probably appropriate to do a market update video on the next one. Like, you're just talking
Yeah,
about the
for
rates
sure.
changing.
Yeah,
let's
we'll see
do
what the
a
feds say.
let's do a summer update here on what's going to happen and heading into fall. So I think that's what we'll talk about next time here. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, you guys want to see us talk about anything else, let us know. Hit us up. Don't forget to like, subscribe. See you guys next one. Night.